Hey, what's up? This is Scott with Level Up Tutorials
and Dr. Courtney Tolinsky
answering your web development questions here. So this is part 2 of the first Level Up Tutorials questions and answers session. And now this is part 2 of hopefully a longer running series. So if you have any questions, leave a question in the video and let us know what you wanna have answered. So ready to get started on these next batch?
I'm ready.
Cool, let's do it.
Okay, so let's move on to Super Cop 104. I still haven't seen that movie.
You haven't seen Super Cop?
No. Is it good?
Yeah,
Isn't it kind of violent?
No, there's like 5 Super Cop. Were you thinking of RoboCop?
Oh, I am thinking of RoboCop.
Yeah, you've seen
Super Cop?
Super Cop is Jackie Chan. You've seen Super Cop.
Oh, I have. I love Jackie Chan.
Yeah, you've probably seen all of the Super Cops. That's the one with Maggie Chung, and she's like, "Oh, Jackie." Yeah.
I remember. Okay, they all sort of blend together. All these kung fu movies you make me watch.
Yeah. She watches a lot of them.
All right. Anyway, Super Cop 104 says, I'm curious about the differences between freelance agency and large company work. Do you have experience with these? Is there a stark difference? Currently at a larger company, but I was thinking of moving to an agency for more challenging and diversified work. But on the other hand, I really enjoy a steady job and the good work-life balance where I'm at. What are your thoughts on this? And I think you actually are really perfect to answer this question because you really have a diverse background and experience, and you're kind of at a new stage in your career.
Yeah, this is a good question, and it's one that I feel like a lot of people deal with. It's one that I've dealt with. It's one I've actually even been asked about in an interview, like, will you be able to work in this environment because your previous experience is like this? So I started out in an agency. Well, actually I started out freelance, but it wasn't full-time freelance. So that's a little bit different. So I started out essentially at an agency, and I really loved working at an agency, especially because of the frequency in which projects turn over.
But it was a small agency.
It was a small agency, like 12 people. So you get a lot of new work, right? So I really liked having really just sometimes going into work and having a project be over in 2 months, and then you move on to the next one. And the beauty of that is if you don't have somebody saying you have to use this technology and this technology and this technology, and you get to make those decisions yourself, then you actually get a lot of freedom to learn a lot. So I took that time. It was like, okay, this website, I'm taking this entire client's work to learn SaaS on this project. And so then I did SaaS, and then I'll take this entire project to learn a different, maybe like Jade or one of these HTML processors or something. But either way, or new content management system, or new coding languages in general. So the frequency at which projects turn over and the more freedom you get to choose your technologies on each project, because at the end of the day, as long as the project works, the client's happy, they're able to modify what they're able to modify. As long as that all works, then who cares what technology you're working with, as long as the website is performative, SEO compliant, and all those things. So personally, I really like that about an agency. What I didn't like about the agency is sort of what you did say about the stability. So, I remember because it was a small agency, there was a good 8 months or something, maybe 6 months where everybody at the agency took a pay cut because the work just wasn't coming in. And that's not anything you can really help. You can look for work for the agency and you can help out, but if the clients aren't there, then you're not, you're responsible for that, and you have to work hard to get that. So in a larger agency, you won't have to worry about those. You probably just collect a salary and you can work on your projects and whatever. And that's great too. But in downtimes when work is low, you could find yourself bored. And if you're not the type of person who can strive to learn new things or go and even explore new topics on your own, then you might find yourself playing games on your phone at work, like I've had a couple of coworkers do at some points.
Right.
Yeah. So So that's the plus and minuses of an agency. I think with anything you have ups and downs. Large companies are great. Large projects are great because you do feel more of a sense of ownership in the code. You get to see this code through and evolve, and you get to grow and learn with the code. But then you also pay for your past mistakes a lot more. Let's say you chose to use Bootstrap at the very beginning of a project, and months down the line you're like, I'm not using any of Bootstrap, but I'm depending on it still because it's here, and I created the project with it. You can't just rip it out. So there's a lot that goes into a big project that is going to change really how you work with it, for better or for worse, and really working with a large company and a large project. It could be a very good thing for the right person. Personally, I'm a little too, yeah, she's laughing.
What's the word?
Because she knows, I don't know, spastic with my choices and things.
You're not spastic, but you like variety, I think, and I think you get bored easily.
That's right, yeah. So personally, the agency work was a little bit more my pace, where I could get that change up all the time. But it really comes down to personalities. If you're the type of person that really likes to take ownership over a large amount of code and really make that stuff, then a large project could really be for you. At the end of the day, I think as long as you're growing your skills, I don't think you should worry about stability, because the job market is hot enough right now that if it's not working out where you're at, you go somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, really, you get lots of recruiter calls, and there's lots of availability. I wish I had that same opportunity for myself, but yeah, it's a great career, you would say.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on. So Christian wants to know, what is your best practice to debug in Meteor errors? So maybe he means errors in Meteor.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is your process and what tools do you use?
Yeah, so for a Meteor specific, you know what, even just JavaScript in general, my philosophy is like the more visibility you have, the better. Now, JavaScript isn't out of the box. It's not the easiest to debug. The Chrome tools are getting a lot better, where you can step inside of functions and stuff like that. But really, I prefer to do the old console log everything. So give me as much information as possible. Like if I'm having a bug, I'll just throw console logs all over the place so I can really understand what's what at what point and where something's going wrong.
So what's a console log?
A console log is a console.log. It's log as a method of console, and it allows you to essentially print the error in your JavaScript console in your developer tools, or if it's a server side, in your server side error logs or something like that. So a console log essentially is just logging the particular, whatever you tell it to log. I mean, it could log, hi Courtney, if you wanted to say that, or it could log the value of a variable or a function or anything like that.
So are you just putting your error in there, or is it like your whole printout of your code?
You're putting in so if I was having A plus B, and I was expecting the answer to be 3, but it's not, I would console log A, I would console log B, and I would console log A plus B, and then I could see the value of A, I could see the value of B, and I could see the value of them being added together and find out where the discrepancy is.
Okay.
So it's essentially just printing the value of things you might not see, essentially, in your on screen or something.
Okay. Yeah. I think I'm just going to have to pretend like I understand that, but I'm sure you all do. All right. Anything else you want to say about that?
Because that's not Meteor specific. So Meteor specifically, Meteor Toys is a package. There's a paid version, which I would recommend, because even though it's a paid extension to Meteor, which is, that sort of goes against the grain of a lot of these paid packages, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. It's a paid tool that allows you to really see everything. You see your sessions, see your database at a glance, see your users. How
much is it?
That's a good question. So, it's $100, but if you have If you have like a sole proprietorship, you're a freelancer or anything like that, or you're
Yeah.
working for a company, they can buy it for you, write it off. It's definitely something you pay for it once, you use it on every project. I would highly recommend. There's a lot of great tools in there specifically, and that's really all I do for Meteor. I use WebStorm as an IDE, and for that, it helps me more with JavaScript errors than it does with Meteor specific things. But yeah, between using WebStorm, Meteor toys, and just throwing console logs everywhere, I think that's pretty sufficient for myself. Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying it's worth the investment
Yeah.
in the long run.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Aaron wants to know, well, so he says he's from the U.S., but currently he's living abroad. For this reason, he's thinking of applying to more remote positions. He wants to know, are these positions generally harder or easier to obtain? And do they require a higher skill level? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. So, as somebody who has worked remotely, it is going to be harder to get a job that starts out remote. Now, what you want to do is look for websites that are specifically geared towards remote jobs. I think one's called Remotely or something like that. If you just Google for remote job board, there's a lot of them. And looking for these jobs, they exist, and they exist, and there's more and more and more and more of them. There's a lot of companies that are becoming more comfortable working remote. And in fact, if I get a recruiter email, like one of the first things I do is I respond with, do they allow remote work? So, I mean, put your resume on job boards, put your resume on Monster, keep your LinkedIn up to date, and just ask. Don't be afraid to ask, is there an opportunity for remote? Because even if they hadn't thought about that originally, chances are other people have asked, or maybe they're growing more comfortable. Will the work require a higher skill level? I would say most likely yes, but I think more so than a higher skill level, it's gonna just involve being more professional and more communicative with the employer, making them at ease with the idea that you're not going to be in office. So making yourself available via email, chat, phone, whatever, having office hours where you're actually working, and have a plan. Really look into how other people work remotely, like I said, with office hours and a plan and things like that, and come to them and say, I'd be in the office this hours these days, I'll be available through these channels. And typically, I think even a junior position or something like that, you should be able to find work remote regardless. So yeah, they might require a higher skill level, but I don't think it's like a hard requirement. I think you will find work that doesn't require like the highest level or something. You'll find all up and down the spectrum. It's but people want to work remotely, so I think the competition might be higher. So,
so you're saying you just have to be more vocal and responsible about what your time frame is, and just be able to talk to others.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it. And, company culture is different at every place. Some places are totally against it, and some places need some warming up, and some places are all for it. So remote job boards are your best place to look. Second best place is to simply just ask who's ever, apply for a job and ask if it's remote possible. Chances are, if they have multiple people interested, they'll take somebody who's going to be in the office. 9 times out of 10 over somebody who's not going to be in the office. But a lot of times companies are looking for the right person, and the right person might not be in the particular city, state, whatever.
Right, in that
where they
vicinity.
live. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. All right, Nathan says, I want so badly to be a master developer, but it's been a struggle. I'm a developer and a graphic designer. All my development knowledge was self-taught using lynda.com and a few other resources, Level Up Tuts being one of them. I'm also the only developer in my office, so there's no one to bounce ideas off of. So he struggles because it says he would be developing code that loads fast. That's his biggest struggle.
Sure.
I've learned my way around jQuery. I'm pretty good at working with PHP and is it MySQL?
Yep.
Databases, but my pages are not very fast. So he wants to know, what are the best practices for creating efficient and fast websites and are there any tips on speeding up sluggish code with a larger server load. So,
sure.
Did you get some of the questions out of there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think for me, the thing I like to do is always leverage other people's work at every given chance I can.
Okay.
So very rarely am I writing anything from scratch. And so if you're working with PHP, MySQL, I mean, I would build things on a CMS where you do have those tools to add whatever performative options or plugins or whatever have already been created for that particular CMS. If you're not interested in that, Laravel, there's a big community. There's probably a lot there for performance as well. Like personally, I don't develop sites in Laravel. I'm familiar with it, but I'm sure there's a lot of little tips and tricks here for building performative websites for any of those particular things. But really, I don't know. I mean, I would trust myself to be able to troubleshoot these things, but I'm going to leverage a lot of outside knowledge and see what other people are really doing. Now, in terms of building a website that scores highly on page speed or something like that functions quickly, I would recommend getting the Google PageSpeed extension or using Google PageSpeed, or there's also Yahoo's YSlow. They tell you pretty flat out what you're doing wrong. So whether these are images that are too large, or maybe you're not caching or gzipping or anything like that. So there's a lot of little server-side tweaks that you can make. If you're hosting your websites yourself, you can install things like there's actually an Nginx or an Apache, depending on what you're using. There's an Apache module for Google PageSpeed that essentially throws in all of Google PageSpeed's recommended Apache extension. So that's going to gzip correctly. That's going to do all your stuff to give you a really nice score. And I remember I threw that on a server, and my site went from like a C to an A in terms of page speed, and I made no modifications to my code whatsoever. So there's a lot of stuff there to building a performative website. I would recommend utilizing the tools that exist online to do so, YSlow, PageSpeed, and really just understanding where exactly the slowdown is. Is it happening on a server? If it's a server-side slowdown, is the hardware you're running the site on not good enough? There's a lot there. So really, it's just about knowing where the problem is and then leveraging the tools that already exist. And then, if it comes down to it that you're writing bad PHP, where it's maybe just looping over something or really taking too much time to pull in data, then that's where I would look into really leveraging other people's work again with using maybe other systems that already exist, like Laravel or a content management system. And that should really go a long ways, I think.
All right. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, this is really fun. I'm so excited
we're gonna
that you asked me to do this.
We're going to do more of these. So ask more questions in the comments. Let us know what you want us to answer more of, maybe what topics you want to talk about. Shoot me an email anytime. Really just leave a comment in the video. Ask us anything you want, and we're going to answer your questions in more of these Q&A videos.
All right.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, as always, this is Scott with Level Up Tutorials, and this is...
And Courtney.
Yes, I'm Courtney. Dr. Courtney Tolinsky here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bye.